Hi, and welcome back to our AI Aggregator Shootout. Tonight, we're going to take a look at AI4Chat. That's AI4, the number 4, chat.co. And we're going to take a look at it as an aggregator model. As a reminder, the aggregator models that we're looking at are AI tools that allow you access to multiple AI engines for the price of a single subscription. So let's dive in and let's take a look at AI4Chat.
All right, let's dive right into AI4Chat. As you can see, we're here on the dashboard. Overall, pleasing layout, simple, easy from what I can see here. We've got obviously the opportunity to do different things here on the, we've got AI chat, coding, text to image, text to music, text to speech, text to video, music to music, image to text, image to image, image to video, image editor, image resizing, professional headshots, background remover, image upscaler. Wow, I could go on and on here. Got a lot of different stuff here that we can do, and I like that. Maybe a little bit overwhelming, but everything looks pretty good. I can't complain. One thing I'm curious about is they have API access down here, and they made it really clear when I signed up, although the sign up was super easy, made it really clear none of the models have API access yet. So let's just click on this. Just curious what happens if we click on that. And it does look like they're going to allow us to get some API access. We'll have to see what that allows us to do when we get into there, but it may actually give us some additional capabilities that we want here and see where we can do. We'll come back to that in a minute. Let's go back to our dashboard and let's start with our standard AI chat, which is what most of us are going to want to do when we get started. And you can see it brings up start a new chat, different models here, getting started. Let's go ahead and start a new chat. All right, so we're in chat 1. I guess that's already where I was. Let's go ahead and grab a prompt and see how we do. So as usual, we're going to begin with a prompt where we're actually going to go ahead and ask it to give us information on setting up an SOP to upload a WordPress blog and optimize that using Yoast SEO. Now what I don't see here as I come in is any opportunity to change my model, so I have no idea what model we're going to be using here in a minute, and that's interesting. Let's go ahead and press it and find out what happens. It's thinking. We'll do a little research here and find out where we're at. By the way, I did do a paid plan here. I've got 10,000 credits on one of their most basic plans. It looks like this generation is going to cost us 6 credits. Looking at that down here on the bottom, and there we go. It's went ahead and provided us with a fairly comprehensive SOP, gave us an outline and everything else. That's not too bad. Certainly better than we've seen on some others. Not perfect, but looks pretty good, all things considered. All right, so I paused for just a minute there to come back. I've been poking around, trying to figure out from the dashboard how in the world we pick different models. So there's a lot going on the screen, so I'm going to shrink my headshot down here a minute and just take a look. So again, for normal, what we're going to do AI chat. There's coding, text to image. Let's go ahead and go to AI chat again. I have confirmed, by the way, in reading the documentation that I am supposed to have access to different models and things like that. So I can look here, I can upload file images, I can download chat, I can do voice chat, notes, math notes, humanizer, Google, that's just for Google search results that I can turn on or off. So that is a nice feature, but I'm trying to figure out how I set up anything that I want. Select my AI model, hit send. All right, so, oh, there it is, it's hidden. Okay, so not necessarily the greatest interface, but once you figure it out, it's there. That's not so bad. So after all of that, we have to just hover over AI to pick our model. I'm not going to blame them for that. That's probably on me. So let's go ahead and figure out where we've got view more AI models. Let's take a look at all the models they have available. So from OpenAI, the normal ones you'd expect, Anthropic, we've got a good selection. Google, again, a good selection. Microsoft, not available from a lot of platforms, so that's good. Now, I'd be interested to find out most of the Microsoft stuff, my understanding at least, was based on OpenAI, but these may be different. I know they are coming out with some of their own stuff. I'm just curious in the back end if it's really Microsoft or OpenAI being rebranded as Microsoft. Some meta models, quite a few meta models there, some Cohere models, Mistral models. Those are all good. So overall, not bad. Let's see, view other AI models. Let's see what we have. I think that's everything there. It's not giving us anything else. So no graphics models. Let's go ahead and go to Claude 3.5 Sonnet. As you know, that's one of my favorites. And let's go ahead and put forth one of our prompts, and let's see how we do here. So we're going to send this one. This is our normal prompt that we're going to put in place regarding an SOP for WordPress. We did this one earlier, but now we're going to do it in Claude, and we're going to see how it compares. So pretty quick right out of the bat. Let's see. These are questions that we're going to just say continue. There we go. Whoops, I guess I can't press enter. I need to press that. That could be bad or good depending on what you're used to. I know a lot of people don't like having to press shift enter all the time, so not a bad deal here. There we go. Let's go ahead and go back in here and see what we found out. So a little bit short, definitely shorter than what I'm going to get out of Claude 3.5. Let's go ahead and try one of the other models and see how we compare. So let's go up to GPT-4o. And let's try the same prompt here again. Now what is nice is I like being able to be in the chat here and be able to run one model and then rerun it again with ChatGPT without having to switch up, so that's good. And let's see what we've got here. There we go. Definitely better information coming through, more comprehensive with that. And again, that may just be because with Claude it's not using the model. One thing that I think is interesting is in between I ran this over on Ruby, which is another one of the aggregator models, just to compare, wondering if it's just me, is something wrong. So I wanted to compare its Claude reaction instead, and you can see it's going to be giving me some questions, so we'll say the same thing. We'll just tell it to continue. Again, I want to be fair between these models, so sometimes I'm going to compare them. We may take a local poll, but you can see I'm getting a much greater, much better response out of Claude here in Ruby than what I got out of it in AI4Chat. If we go back up here to the Claude, that's all we got right there. That's everything. So not exactly, great. I guess I could have said continue. That wasn't everything. Let's try that again here. If I can go back to here. I guess it just didn't give me the whole thing, and it did here. So maybe I'm not being totally fair to it. Let's go back and change that model one more time. Let's go back into view more models. I got to find it now. There we go. Claude 3.5 Sonnet. And I'm going to paste in my prompt, and I'm going to this time get rid of the please ask me any questions part, so it just goes ahead and writes it. That'll save us a little bit of time. This generation is going to cost me 150 credits out of the 10,000 that I bought. Now I did buy those 10,000 credits on sale for $5, so not a bad price, all things considered. That was a Halloween special, but let's see how things operate. There we go. So I definitely got it better, probably more akin to what we got out of OpenAI here. Not awesome, but not bad. Definitely not as good as we got out of Ruby, so that's interesting that they look a little bit different. I'm curious here on Poe. Let's run over to Poe real quick here. And let's try their model. We'll go to Claude 3.5 Sonnet. We'll do the exact same thing. There we go. Just a little delayed. There we go. I'll get rid of the please ask me questions part. And again, I want to compare and see what we get between the different models and see how they go. This so far looks very similar to what we've got out of Ruby. Let's go back and take a look at AI4Chat here. We ended up with 6 sections, we can see. On Poe, we ended up with 8 sections plus some best practices, and on Ruby, we ended up with 10 sections. So definitely a little bit of difference when it comes out. Poe and Ruby definitely doing better on what we got versus AI4Chat here. So that's very interesting. No image capability, so we can't go check any image capabilities here, run that. But let's go ahead and grab our press release prompt and see how it does on that. Oh, that's annoying. Notice I can't, if I highlight, there we go. I have to be really specific to get up in there. Don't love that per se, but again, it is what it is. Let's go ahead and take a look at the different models here. Let's go ahead and grab one of Google. We'll grab their 1.5 Pro model, and let's have it write a press release. We'll get rid of the clarifying questions part again, just for expediency. And let's see how we do on speed. We're about 7 seconds so far. There we go. Not too bad. It definitely came through pretty reasonably, probably as much as I would expect, and it gave a decent press release out of that. So not bad whatsoever. Let's go ahead and real quickly compare. So we did Pro, there's Gemini Pro. Let's compare that here on Ruby and just see what we get. Same prompt, and I'm just kind of curious on timing. And we'll do the same thing on Poe here in a minute. So let's watch it produce here. Last one was much faster here on Ruby. Came up right away. So that's good. We'll compare that as that's working. Let's go check it out on Poe here real quick and start a new chat on Poe. There we go. Slightly different interface here on Poe, but we'll get it figured out. And let's see here. We want to use the the Gemini model. Let's see here. Get back, there we go. Gemini 1.5 Pro. Paste that prompt in, get rid of the confirmation, and let's see here. So again, on Ruby it started right away. It did on Poe, it started right away too. So definitely a little bit slower on AI4Chat. It did come up and it gave us everything here. Looks like a very similar press release, all things considered. So possibly a little bit longer than Ruby did. Ruby and Poe look very similar. AI4Chat's not too far off, slightly different font. I'm going to say they're close, and they should be nearly identical. I know they're going to be slightly different, but it should be nearly identical. So again, pretty good response, just a little bit slower overall. Definitely not quite as many models in AI4Chat here, but less expensive overall to do. Let's go ahead and take a look at its pricing. All right, so I did the monthly plan. Let's take a look here at what we've got here. So we've got different plans that are available. I bought the $10,000 credit, or the 10,000 credit plan, not the $10,000 one. And if you pay yearly, you do get 2 months free. But for $5 a month, I get 10,000 credits. You're going to run through those pretty fast. I don't know that that's a ton of them, but it looks like you can get 20,000 credits for 12 bucks. The one hard part about credits here, folks, is it makes it very difficult to compare between models. They've all got credits that they use in one form or another, but they don't necessarily, a credit is not always equal to a credit is not always equal to a credit between platforms. So in other words, a credit on AI4Chat, a credit on Magi, a credit on Ruby, a credit on Poe, they're not necessarily going to have the same value. Kind of like the Canadian dollar and the US dollar, don't always have the same value. So again, that's going to be hard to compare, but at least you can get an idea of what you've got there. So let's go ahead and let's jump into our score sheet and see how they did. All right, so now we're into our score sheet for AI4Chat. Let's begin with account setup. So it was super easy. I was able to use my Google account and get logged in. I love that. It makes it simple. Perfect. So user interface, we're going to knock it a little bit here. It wasn't a bad user interface, but remember the difficulty we had just figuring out how to check the model, to pick the model, and then once we did, to actually select it. Seems a little bit glitchy from where I'd like it to be. So I'm going to give them just a 5 on their user interface. I definitely think that could use some improvement. AI models available, because they didn't have any graphic model available at all. I'm going to definitely limit them there. It's probably one of the reasons they're less expensive. So, I mean, I get that, but didn't love that. Value for money and everything else, I'm going to say it's reasonable. You know, if you're just looking for chat, it's probably pretty decent. But again, I know I had, again, 10,000 chats, and that one prompt that I ran for the press release, who I believe was 150 credits. So you're going to use those credits up pretty fast at that point in time. That would only give me roughly about 60 chats for $5. So not great. In fact, I think I'm going to knock them down just a little bit. I think that is a little expensive. Response time, again, not what I'd expect here. Not as bad as we ran into with OmniGPT, but definitely not as good as I hoped elsewhere. We'll give them a 6, but definitely plenty of room for experiment or for improvement. So I did some checking on the API keys. So API keys are available, but not in the way that you think. In other words, we can't use API keys to connect to our own accounts. It's only to connect back into AI4Chat to use their things in your apps. So we're going to go ahead. I'll give them a 2. We'll give them even a 4. They have some availability there, but not real likely we're going to do it. Not a lot of fine-tuning options for me there that existed, so we're not going to have a lot of update there. Custom model training, prompt engineering tools. They did give us a lot of prompts up front, which was kind of cool, but not a lot of capabilities. You know, as I'm going through this, I'm going back in my mind to AI models available. We didn't test the images because it didn't give us that option in the way it was laid out. Again, I didn't give them a lot of points here on their user experience. We'll leave it at a 5, but if we remember here, we do have text to images and image prompting here. So it's there, it's just not always as easy to get to as you might assume. So let's go ahead and try that out here a minute before we do anything else and see what we've got. So what options do we have here? So on model selections, again, there we go. Lots of options here. Okay, this is good. Stable Diffusion, Flux, Dolly, Leonardo, no Mid-Journey, that's all right, but they do have Stable Diffusion and Flux. So overall, pretty decent models here. Let's go ahead and try. We don't have a Mid-Journey. Let's go ahead and try a Flux one. We'll go ahead and put in our required prompt or a desired prompt here. I like 4x5 images and images. Yeah, 550 credits. So you're going to spend a boatload. Here we go. Here's our prompt. There we go. 3D cartoon animation of an entrepreneur working on a computer in a modern office, inspired by Pixar. I think I did Disney last time. We'll try to keep it the same way. There we go. So they do have images. That was a mistake on my part. They're estimating 120 seconds to generate. With Flux, that seems a little long. Flux is generally quite a bit faster than Mid-Journey, but we'll give it a chance here and see what happens as we go along. And it didn't take as long. Decent image. So again, overall, that's not bad. Again, user interface, we're going to change. But let's go back to our scoring because I wasn't quite fair there, and I want to make sure we fix that. So models available. More models than I thought. We're going to give them an 8. Pretty good models available overall. That's going to increase their cost efficiency a little bit. I'm going to move it to a 7. Again, the credits, man, those are expensive. You're going to go through a lot of credits. And I want to remind you, credits on this may not be the same as credits on Ruby or on Poe or on Magi or any of the others. Everybody's going to be a little bit different, so we can't compare credits to credits, unfortunately. Training and customization. So let's go back and take a quick look here a minute. Somebody sent me a message welcoming to the site. Looks like their customer support team. That's so nice of them. They do have music, speech, and a couple other things, some headshots. Let's see what we've got for support. We do have some agents that we can set up, it looks like, some workflows. They have an affiliate program. I don't see anything on support. Doesn't mean it doesn't exist, but I don't see it. Let's go look on dashboard. Not over there. Maybe underneath our account. Let's take a look. We got settings, but nothing there we can do. So their support, although it may be available, is definitely a little bit harder to find. They don't really have a whole lot there for support. So let's go back to our scoring model here. Our training and customization, they did have some fine tuning. I'm going to give them a 6, but the accuracy responses, again, overall decent but not awesome. We'll give them a 7. Data security, from everything I can read, it's an 8. You're noticing I'm giving pretty much everybody an 8 on data security because I'm not a data security expert, guys, but if they talk about it in their documentation, we're giving them the benefit of the doubt. I'm only going to give them a 6 here, not because they're doing bad. Well, actually, I'm going to give them an 8 because they do have that chat. Remember, they just messaged me, in fact, so they've got the chat. We'll give them an 8. Documentation and resources, they did have pretty good documentation. That's how I was able to finally determine that they did have multiple models, even when I couldn't figure out their user interface. And increased workloads and enterprise level features. Nothing really astounding there. I'm going to give them a 6, just because I'm not totally impressed there. And what's that give us? That gives us an 83 overall. So we go down through our courses. I do this every time. Magi came in at a 96. Ruby came in at a 95. U.com came in at an 88. Poe at a 98. Straco at an 83. OmniGPT at a 71, and AI4Chat at an 83. So some good scoring, some differences there. We'll definitely be talking in our recap about which models we prefer for which reasons. One of the benefits you have here on AI4Chat is just the ability to get in for very little money, but very little capability for what you get for the free level as well. And even when we pay here, 20 images would blow through that $5 right away. So what are we talking? That's about 20 cents an image, which is pretty pricey. Just to give you an idea, the image that we generated over there, if I can go find that image now again, let's see if it will show it to me in our history. Yep. So this image, if I were to do this on Flux itself, in one of the hosted models, it would cost me about 3 to 5 cents to generate that image, and it cost us about 50 cents to do so here. So just something to keep in mind as you're comparing, assuming my math in my head is right, but it's definitely significant. So anyway, that's AI4Chat. There's certainly a model worth considering. I want to, as I do on most of these, or if not all, if you're with AI4Chat and you don't think we've been fair to you, please let me know. I'd love to have a chat with you, go over this and identify anything that I didn't understand about the platform. But our ratings are what we believe are accurate, and we look forward to doing the next model with you guys soon. Make it a great day.